Welcome to One Up Fantasy, helping you one up the fantasy football competition. For the latest in Chicago sports news, visit ChiCitySports.com. And now, here are the hosts of One Up Fantasy, Stephen Johnson and Chris Jackle. Kaboom!
The moment that we have all been waiting for, fantasy football players, is finally here. It is championship week, and we're here to break it all down. Week 17 used to mean no fantasy, but that's all changed this year. Thanks, Extra Game in the NFL.
Thanks,
Welcome
Raj.
into One Up Fantasy here on ChiCitySports.com and the Tape Never Lies Network. I'm Stephen Johnson. He is toilet bowl player Chris Jackle.
Howdy, sir. How are we? Yes, I am in the toilet bowl in the sugar shack. Thanks for bringing it up as my buddies were busting my stone. So it's always nice to maybe be back-to-back toilet bowl champs in the league. So
that's quite a feat.
I'm a glutton for punishment. So I welcome all haters as usual. And so, there we go. So thanks, Shane, and my buddy Jay listening. So hello. And hey, week 17, champions are named. They're made. Rosters are destroyed. What are we doing, Steven?
Buddy.
How are we? And what the fuck happened to you this week?
Hey, I tell you, I wish I could make more fun of you about that toilet bowl, but I'm stuck in the same situation as you are in my home league. It ain't good. It was a bad week 16 for me. I got done in by some Jalen Waddle last night, and boy, talk about a whiff that I just did not think he was going to be the guy, and here he is on the verge of setting the NFL record for rookie receptions.
He needs 6 more, right?
I might even be less than that.
I think it's 6 in 2 games, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he quietly has put together an amazing season.
I mean, to think that the record was only at 101 by Anquan Boldin back in his rookie season with the Cardinals. A lot of people might not remember that run of things back before he moved on to Baltimore. But I tell you what, it's wild just to see what he's put together. He's really what everyone thought that Laviska Shenault was going to be. That's what Jalen Waddle has essentially become for the Miami Dolphins, and it's funny to watch it happen. And it's a hell of a turnaround for that, and really just the Dolphins in general. Winners of 8 straight, stringing it all together, putting up some surprising fantasy names. And really maybe even some guys you want to lean on this week at running back. And I think we can dive into that right off the top here with the fact that what the hell is going on with running back yet again? I feel like a broken record saying this, but again, here we are with a mound of injuries that's going to keep a lot of guys out in week 17 that a lot of people have been relying on.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. We've listed like 30 starting running backs that have gone down this year, and here we are an extra week and just another set of injuries. We lose James Robinson. Unfortunately, Urban goes out, guns blazing, and Robinson steps in, starts doing well, and unfortunately tears that Achilles. CHE over in Kansas City, we busted up his collarbone. Sanders broke his hand. Darrell Henderson sprained his MCLs on the IR. What are we going to do, man? I mean, there's guys out there, and there's some plays that you may throw out in those starting lineups come this weekend, where you might not have done probably 6-7 weeks ago, but at this point, it's all hands on deck. And if you want to bring home some bread or have some bragging rights or not get a tattoo on your ass or go in a mall and wear a dress or whatever the fuck you got to do to be as a punishment these days, you're going to start some strangers. And it's not stranger danger. It's stranger touchdown makers. Let's fucking go, because we got to do something, because COVID is killing rosters. And I hate to say it, COVID is just destroying rosters. Yeah. Bad play on words. And it's unfortunate because, all the way up until game time, you could be looking pretty. And next thing you know, if you don't look at your phone, you're SOL, So I know some of us have had those situations happen. James Conner with the old ankle thing almost threw me off this past weekend. I wasn't sure what the fuck was going to happen. And next thing I know, I look at my phone and it was like 5 minutes before kickoff. No, Bob, you're absolutely right. And that's why I tried to move on past that. It sounds, Bob, if that's your thing, God bless you. Steven's more of a mini skirt guy. I'm more of kind of sundress man, but but nonetheless, to each his own. To each his own, right? So week 16. Are you playing for any money now after last weekend?
Man, I tell you, I'm trying to rack my brain here for how many championship matchups I'm in, and I think I might only be in
40
one.
leagues like you are. I mean,
the
numbers got to play in your favor.
It was a bad year. It was a really bad year.
Boy.
Got some bad beats. Fell victim to the Derrick Henry injury in a handful of leagues. I finally jumped on that train, and then he ends up with a season-ending injury. Mm-hmm. I think I'm only down to one, and it's weird. Because I'm at this point, it's like, okay, I'm in 2, 3, maybe 4, and just routinely kind of rotating through a couple different ones. And this year, I just could not get it going, and I don't know what it was, but it is what it is. That's part of the game. Luck plays into a lot of this. It really does. I mean, it is and it isn't. Like there's one, and I'm going to kick myself over it for a long damn time. So, Superflex League. This league's been going on for 3 years. My starting lineup, when healthy, is Matthew Stafford and Justin Herbert. Running back, I'm rolling Nick Chubb, DeAndre Swift, Christian McCaffrey. And then at wide receiver, I've got CeeDee Lamb.
Is that a 4-man league?
AJ Brown. That's a 12 team. CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown. I drafted Jamar Chase this year, and I have George Kittle as my tight end.
Okay. I
have yet to play in a championship match in this league. I continue to finish top 2 every year. Every year I've managed to finish top 2, and then I get screwed in the playoffs. And I'm just like, one of these years, like all the talent on this roster is just going to get wasted. Yeah. And it drives me nuts that it's this glorious looking thing.
And I Matt Nagy
cannot put exactly. Like I don't know what the hell I'm doing wrong, but this week I know what I did wrong. 11:45 rolls around. I'm like, okay, gotta make sure all my lineups are good. I had Rex Burkhead in one of my slots. I changed him out for Van Jefferson, and it cost me the matchup, a 26-point swing. And it cost me the matchup, and I'm sitting here just like banging my head against the wall, thinking, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, it just...
First off, you swore for the first time ever, so that's beautiful. Secondly, that hurts. I subbed out Dallas's defense this past weekend. Trying to think since he was going to do something against Ian Book, and that totally backfired on me. I ended up losing, so knocked out of the money. So I feel you, but that is just a tough one. Rex Burkhead goes off 2 touchdowns, 172 yards or whatever it was. It was fucking unbelievable. That hurts. I don't know what his run total was. What was it? Do you remember?
It was like 145 yards and a touchdown. I mean, it was just something absurd. And it's funny because I even saw the news that David Johnson was getting scratched, and I'm like, okay. No, I'm still going to go with Van Jefferson. They're playing the Vikings. The Vikings suck against the pass. They're really bad against wide receivers. No, the whole thing just blew up in my face. It's like, God, like that's the pit of pain right there. I don't know if you had any. Do you have any bad beats?
This past week, I just took a drubbing all around, except for one league. I was talking about the Dynasty League 2 weeks or last show, and I ended up winning. The guy lost, but another dude won. And since it was 3-team tiebreaker, it went to total points, and that guy had 16 more points than I did. So I ended up not making it. But and of course, in typical fashion, if I had won,
team blows up.
I dominate. I'm in the finals, and it's truth be told, I might have actually won the league. I don't remember what it was. Would have been close, but that's how it goes. Speaking of luck, and you got to draft well. You got to make your moves and make your trades, and it comes to that. But at the same point, if you don't have luck on your side, you're not winning shit. Your team looks great, and that's awesome. And you can show your buddies like, look at this team. I fucking I don't know but. At the end of the day, you got to have lady luck on your side, so
absolutely.
I can't disagree with you more. I have one championship game. which would be nice because it'd probably cover all my entry fees that I paid for this year. So, it'd be nice to take that down. But it's actually the league that we talked about back in week 5 or 6 when we wanted to make a trade. And I targeted the team that hadn't won yet, right? That guy did not lose from that week. He won 9 straight. And I'm playing him in the finals. And it's a good little 2 last place teams that just kind of raided the table. And here we are. So, it was, but outside of that, man, it's it's still been a fun year of fantasy. Just fucking insane injuries. COVID has just been a nightmare, obviously. And so, I mean, they're changing the protocols, and now it's 5 days if you're vaccinated and no symptoms. And
and this is a good thing for a lot of players out there that might have been looking at an out designation for week 17. And so really it's a sigh of relief for a lot of players. And there's still a handful out there that are still going to be out that full 10 days.
Like Wentz is out 10 weeks, 10 days, right?
So
Dalvin Cook is hopefully back Saturday.
Right. And now it's Sam Ellinger, I believe, starting for the Colts, and God help them. They are in the middle of a playoff race, and not the guy that you necessarily want starting the second game of the season, trying to keep your hopes afloat. And again, they're holding on to that 5 spot right now. But you got the Chargers knocking on the door, the Raiders knocking on the door as well, along with the Ravens and the Steelers. I mean, it's a wild playoff race. I mean, you could really, the fantasy's kind of been the same way as well, where there was so much of a bunch up in leagues across the country where, there really wasn't an opportunity for a lot of players to put together, a strong 11-3, 12-2 season with the way that things have kind of broken up. And, we talked about some of these running back injuries and the fact that, there's a pretty significant list of them once again this week. And then all of a sudden you have, shockingly enough, I mean, you want to talk about second half heroes. I mean, this has been the year for it in terms of the second half of the fantasy season, specifically at wide receiver as well. You have guys like Russell Gage with the Atlanta Falcons, who has been bonkers for them since Ridley went out with the non-disclosed issue that he's got going on, and doesn't look like he's going to be back to end the season. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who has turned into a complete star for the Detroit Lions and a absolute PPR machine for what he's been able to do in a really rough and tumble Lions team that all of a sudden has figured out how to put a competitive product on the field. It only took them 10, 11 weeks. Thankfully, the Bears weren't one of the teams that fell victim to that, but I digress. I mean, there's a list. I mean, even from a dynasty perspective, watching Davis Mills in Houston and what he's been able to do, you have this gem where you think, there might be some value here in these super flex 2 quarterback dynasty leagues in the future. Maybe Houston gives him a shot. I mean, honestly, a rookie for what he's been doing, that's a guy you might want to keep your eye on. All of a sudden there's this list and you're thinking, okay, like this isn't normal. It's not normal at all. And I don't know if there's any other names that stand out to you, but I feel like that's really been the full difference maker compared to previous seasons. Not only it's the injuries, but the fact that there's been so many guys, when given the opportunities, they're actually taking it and running with it versus having these 1 to 2 week plugs where you say, okay, they were good, but let me get back to my studs.
No, that's a great point, and I think you named a couple of players, St. Brown, Amon St. Brown has just he's been amazing, and as we've talked about through the season, we've talked about the duds, the guys that just weren't performing, and as we sit here, there's like the guys like T. Higgins and Brandon Ayuk who had those slow starts and just definitely, I mean, I have Joe Burrow, who's just amazing.
Hell of a game.
He wishes he probably played the Ravens every week. I mean, he'd break it. I mean, he fucking crushes them every time he plays against them. But, to the point, there's definitely guys that step, and that's the NFL in a nutshell, and the old Patriots mantra or whatever being up here is, the next man up and, do your job. But in reality, there's some truth to that, and you're seeing that. And it speaks to the fantasy players that, who see these guys and are able to kind of jump on it a little early, buy low, and that's a strategy that we've talked about all year. And so I think there's some guys out there, from the dynasty perspective, circling back to Davis Mills, they're still holding Deshaun Watson. If they can move him and get all these picks, right? Do they need to spend capital on a quarterback and move forward and actually get some weapons around there? And Davis Mills looks like a much better quarterback with, better than David, like Rex Burkhead and David Johnson. But if they get a solid running back and can replace Brandon Cooks, fantastic. I'm not shitting on him, but
absolutely,
you gave up Nuke for a bag of balls, and here, so if they could legitimize that offense, Davis Mills is a guy that would want to be on your dynasty roster. And so I think that's a really good point. There's some moves now that you could look to make, as the season kind of winds up. You just keep an eye on guys getting brought up, but and from practice squads because of injuries, guys are going to get tryouts, kind of like, speaking of Davis Mills, they were like, we're going to start him. Let's see how he does. And all he's done is stepped up and done well. So, when these guys get those auditions and if they play well, they're, the eye test and doing it, every Sunday is going to keep you in the lineup. And so there's going to be some guys you're going to see next year that are going to pop up on those top 20 lists that you're like, holy shit, I can't. And then you realize when you look at their numbers, you're like, God damn, I didn't even think about adding that guy on my team, or, but he's already rostered because, people are beating you to the punch, so
right.
It's a pretty interesting dynamic right now. COVID and injuries have created so many, not dress rehearsals, but auditions for these guys, and dudes are stepping up, but guys are failing too. So it's not, it's like our Trey Sermon pick,
the pain. I mean, hell, but even on I guess a running back that, gave really anybody the pain of thinking he was going to turn into something, and of all of a sudden has turned into something, is Rashad Penny in Seattle. Just seeing the opportunity. All the guys that the Seahawks had to go through in order to give Rashad Penny like his fourth chance to lead the backfield. And here he is spouting off 100-yard game after 100-yard game. And all of a sudden now we're looking at, he's only got 389 yards on the year, but, he put up 137 and 2 scores against Houston. Yep. Coming out against the Bears, runs for 135 and a score in the snow. Again, being able to put together some solid games, and I believe he might even be a free agent. He is. This is his 4th year, and Seattle did not pick up that option, and so there is that question.
They'll be renegotiating with him, I imagine, because he's definitely stepping up. Averaging 5.6 yards after contact, so that just means he's getting hit and he's shedding bodies. And, that's a good number to have. He's not getting tripped over, like the Matt Forte getting tripped over by the fucking, the yard mark there. But I used to always yell that at the TV when I was younger. But sorry, I couldn't resist. But, but they're playing the Lions this week. They're
bad.
The last 4 games, they've given up an average of 24.8 points to running backs. So that's a play. He's a start all day. And he is on my championship starting lineup coming up this week. So I'm just happy I picked him up right before Sunday. When
ready to let it rip.
Penny was sitting right there and, hey, how you doing? So there we go. But yeah, man, it's just been a while. I digress. It's been a wild year and a lot of moves, a lot of guys hurt. But yeah, Rashad Penny is a dude that is just played into probably himself some money. He's going to get a bag after because of what he's doing, I think, and if Seattle's smart, they'd probably want to try to, keep him around. But not, nonetheless, he's shown he can do it, and he'd probably end up somewhere else for a little bit more money now. Might have played himself out of Seattle.
Yeah, and not really a strong rookie class in terms of the running back position as well. So that's something else to keep in mind. Really good timing for Rashad Penny in that regard, where he might not have to worry about as much youth being injected into the position as we've seen the last couple of years, even this past year, where you see guys like Javonte Williams, Najee Harris, Michael Carter, and the list goes on and on of all these guys that have really displaced a lot of these veterans that have had a role in this league for a very long time. And so again, the timing, opportunity, it all comes together, and very interesting to see how everything falls, especially given the injury history that has hit the position this year, and just how much teams are going to hone in, or maybe not even hone in at all, and not invest as much because they're just worried about the fragility of the position. So, we'll see what ends up happening there, and plenty of time to debate it all and see where people land. But before we get into Week 17 matchups, I'm seeing a few questions here. We'll go with
a couple champs, and let's talk about
so we'll go off the top here. I don't know if I'm going to butcher this name or not. Vigi? I don't know if I got it.
Let's go Vigi.
Vigi? Okay, well, congratulations. He was our TTNL 1-up league champion in league number 1.
Yes.
And then our friend Ryan Cox wins league number 2. So I don't know if Ryan's watching, but congratulations to you both. We got the head-to-head Super Bowl matchup to see
going on right now.
Go away with the spoils.
Viggy.
All right, there we go.
Appreciate it.
But please, or Daniel, if that's a hell of a lot easier.
Jesus, fucking come on, buddy. Appreciate it.
Got to run us through the ringer. No,
Daniel,
congratulations to you both, though, and
job,
again. We'll see who comes away the winner this week in Week 17, facing off against one another. We'll try and is it separate leagues, so we got to figure out a way to really monitor that and get that built up. But again, gotta have something to play for in Week 17 and get that rolling. Viggy, Daniel, however you want to say his name, kicked my ass in Week 16. I mean, there was a beat. I think he beat me by like 70 points. Like his entire team just went off. So I can't really say much there.
You didn't lay an egg like I did.
Bob, the Little Sisters of the Poor in the championship. Good to hear. He's got a question for us, a non-PPR question, picking 2 out of this list. Austin Eckler coming back off the COVID list. DeAndre Swift, Michael Carter, or Eli Mitchell?
Well, shit.
Man.
Wilson Jr. is going to kind of cut into Mitchell's carries, I think. I
think so.
He didn't play too bad, man. He had that touchdown early on, but Jeff Wilson Jr. and I think I called him Mr. Wilson. But if Eckler's back, obviously healthy, you got to start him. I would love to say DeAndre Swift just because I want him to play for my own personal gain, but I don't know. I like Eckler and maybe Michael Carter. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, Michael Carter came out with a vengeance against the Jaguars last week, and it was great to see him just kind of put himself in that position to stake claim to that backfield after being on the IR for a few weeks there.
Mm-hmm.
In this situation, though, I don't really like Michael Carter against the Bucs. That's a rough matchup, and it's a matchup that they might find themselves in a hole relatively quickly.
He's an RB 27 this week.
Oof. Yeah, it's not great. I do agree with you though. If Austin Eckler's healthy, you gotta start him. Plain and simple, you gotta start him. Detroit, I don't understand why DeAndre Swift would come back. I really don't. They have nothing to play for. There's nothing that screams,
shut your mouth.
Okay, we need your talent.
Shut your mouth.
I mean,
shut your mouth. I need him to play. No, I'm kidding. You're absolutely right. It's Detroit, though. It's fucking they're playing kneecaps. They're playing spoilers.
I know.
Fucking Tim Boyle from UConn and some Manchester Community College fame. The fucking guy won like one game in college, ends up as a quarterback in the NFL. It's mind-numbing, but, I don't know. I would love to see it, but you're absolutely right. Why would they play him? The money invested, the next year they should be better. It's a tough one, but if the guy wants to play and they feel like they want to win, and he's I imagine if there's bonuses involved and percentages and snaps earned and all that kind of shit, contracts could speak a different language, and those guys want to get out there to make that bread.
Jackle. No, I think my internet's going out.
Oh no!
I don't know. Something. I don't know.
What
All of a
happened?
sudden things
What
just
happened?
went double clicky. I don't know.
Could have been me. I'm talking
Everything's
too
screwed up.
fast.
Yeah. Who knows? I think it was me. Anyway. Yeah. Here's the thing. I know you think like I want to believe that Jeff Wilson Jr. is going to cut into Eli Mitchell's carries. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It's happened before where I thought, oh, yeah, Jeff Wilson's healthy. He'll get some touches. Oh, okay, here you go. Here's 2 touches of the ball and be on the field for 8% of the snaps. Like, man, it's a struggle that, okay, we both froze. Yeah, we're all screwed up here. Man, Bob.
So
honestly,
you're saying Elijah?
If DeAndre Swift plays, play DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
However, I worry because Elijah Mitchell is taking on the Houston Texans. That's a good matchup.
Yeah.
It's one you want to take advantage of, and it's just a matter of can you trust Kyle Shanahan to give bell cow type carries to a guy coming off a concussion and coming off of was a broken finger.
What part of him is not injured right now? That dude
is, and that's
he's
the
worry.
worry.
He's an RB 24 right now. Going into week 17 for week 17. In PPR format. So I don't know. It's tough, but if he plays, he's done well.
Yeah, no, I definitely go with.
Actually, I take that
DeAndre, I think you're right there. If he plays, it's the way to go in that regard. So yeah, no, that's a tough one, especially with it being non-PPR. That can go a lot of ways. And again, I mean, non-PPR leagues are the bane of my existence.
Why do they exist?
Exactly. I mean, it's just not something that I find fun whatsoever. No. But is what it is here. Let's see what else we got going on in the comments. Rashad Kennedy. Cool Kennedy up in the house. What up, TTNL family? This week I won the first playoff game by 0.5 points by the hair on my chinny chin chin.
Yes, sir.
Man, those are great matchups to be on the right side of. But I tell you, you're on the wrong side of them. It is the most painful following couple days. Not fun whatsoever. But it's been around. Okay, the non-PPR has been around since the 90s. Okay, that I understand. That I get.
Those are bylaws set in stone, so those aren't changing. I get that. All right, so it's a throwback league, if you will.
Yeah, could bring it up to a vote. I don't think anybody will complain.
Yeah, I saw. Speaking of old
maybe they're
school,
stuck in their ways.
It's I'm proposing all sorts of new stuff. They're getting rid of the waiver stuff. Like, come on, what are we doing? It's. Oh man. Anyway, a question for you. I saw a thing on Twitter about someone said that they are going to start buying the jersey of the player that they misdraft in their draft to start. So starting next year, if they miss someone, they're going to get the guy's jersey the following season and they got to wear it to the draft, as their biggest miss. And I was like, that's a shitty way to collect jerseys. But I thought that was kind of interesting because it made me think about some whiffs and some shots that we went into this year thinking, who's that guy? We talked about Trey Sermon, that was a dude we were high on the hog for, man. But, with that being said, is there out of the blue, can you think of somebody that, that you took early on that was definitely not injury related, just did not perform?
Allen Robinson, who I thought was in for a massive year.
He was my keeper.
I'm like, oh, no more Nick Foles. He's got Andy Dalton. He might have Justin Fields midseason. He can throw the ball downfield. Yeah. I have never felt so betrayed by a fantasy pick. It's bad. I'm just sitting here thinking, what happened? What happened to Allen Robinson? I still don't know what happened to Allen Robinson. I mean, is he coming back for the last?
He's saying COVID really impacted him severely. Lost 10 pounds, and he's granted he got it later on in the season, but he's definitely been on the struggle bus since then, and for obvious reasons. But yeah, he's definitely not playing himself into more money this season in Chicago.
No.
But whatever. I traded him, but Conrad, my oldest son, he got Madden from Santa this year, which is great for Dad because
R.I.P. By the way.
Yeah, I know.
Madden
That's part of the reason why I brought it up.
Yeah. Anyway.
And the first move I made, I started a franchise. First trade I made, I traded Allen Robinson to the Vikings for Justin Jefferson because he's, I love Justin Jefferson. And I was, Conrad was like, Dad, why are we getting rid of Allen Robinson? Isn't he good? I'm like, nah. He's not. He's out of here. We're sending him to Minnesota where he can go freeze and suck. So, nonetheless, he had 200 yards. Justin Jefferson 200 yards in his debut. So, nonetheless, back to fantasy, which it actually kind of is the fantasy world. But,
yeah.
But yeah, two guys I could think of. James Robinson, I thought was going to be, secretly was just going to be the unsung hero of that offense, that linchpin that was going to make Trevor Lawrence's life easy, and it just did not pan out at all. What is your thought on DeAndre Hopkins this year? Is he a guy that is worthy of that top fucking, where he's been?
It felt almost obvious that he was going to be nearing that cliff. I mean, he's getting up there in age too. It all kind of
Thanks, Shane. Appreciate it, bud.
It was weird. It was a weird season for him, and then to have it end the way that it has with an IR stint, and that he's resting up for the playoffs, and that Arizona team just has not looked right. Even with him to an extent where they just have not been able to get into a rhythm.
Ever since Kyler got hurt.
Right. And I think really you're going to see him, fall into that 5 to 6 round range with,
that's crazy.
Where we saw like the Cortland Suttons and Deontay Johnsons of the world in 2021. Yeah, it was just rough to see that. I'm seeing Bob post one in here. Calvin Ridley.
I don't understand.
My God. When that Julio trade happened, when he went to Tennessee, everyone lost their minds and thought Calvin Ridley was going to be the number 1 overall wide receiver, that he'd be able to contend with the Tyreek Hills and Devontae Adams of the world. I kind of fell into that trap too. I mean, mentally, everything above, mental health above everything else, for who anyone is as a person. That just came completely out of left field, completely out of left field. That's definitely another pitfall, I'd have to say, that was easy to fall into. Hell, even Julio Jones, you could argue that he was going, 4th, 5th round. Everyone getting excited over A.J. Brown and Julio Jones wreaking havoc on defenses. And even to an extent, Ryan Tannehill being a bust in that regard to what he was expected to put up at quarterback.
Part of the reason I'm in the toilet bowl, just to be honest, fucking took him in that fucking league. I did do a 9-player trade in that league with my buddy Jay, who's listening right now. But yeah, we pulled off a nice 9, and I actually won like 5 straight after that because my team was dog shit. I traded for a bunch of injured players that just happened to come back and do well. But nonetheless, sorry for interjecting that.
No, you're good.
Getting us off topic. But
yeah, there were a lot. It seems like more often than not, just a lot of just things that did not work out this year. Maybe again, I mean, even if you want to run down that the first round in terms of the injuries that you had to fight with, depending on where you picked. Christian McCaffrey obviously done for the year, and he was a consensus number 1 overall for a lot of people. Dalvin Cook has had his fair share of injuries and probably lost a couple weeks here and there with the nagginess. Ezekiel Elliott's been dealing with a knee the majority of the year, and at one point was at 50-50 on the carry split with
remember those conversations? Jesus.
Oh God. Yeah, it was rough. I mean, Alvin Kamara missed a couple games in there as well. Derrick Henry out for the year. Saquon Barkley has never been able to put it together. Jonathan Taylor, really the only running back that has been able to consistently produce in the first round. Maybe, I mean, Nick Chubb was out a few games.
Yeah.
I mean, there was so much where the running back position was like, nah, we're good.
Yeah. Here, yeah. You're starting nobody worthwhile, and good luck with that, so no, there were many times where you're looking at that waiver wire, on like a Friday morning, like, what the fuck am I gonna do now? Like, because somebody got hurt in practice or something. But you are so right, Stephen. And we've talked about it over and over again, the injuries, but and we can't quantify it here, but when this is all said and done, it'll be interesting to see how many starting running backs over the course of the year have been out because of injury. Not necessarily COVID, but just straight up injuries. It's sad. And it's speaking of two teams, it's going to be a running back by committee. You're going to see, I think like in Kansas City with, Hilaire and Darrell Williams. And I thought that was a nice little combination. And when he was out, you saw more Williams. And I mean, you can get like Khalil Herbert in Chicago, with Montgomery going out. He looked pretty damn good, and it's caused some crazy conversations, but nonetheless, I think we realize who the running back is in Chicago. But, I think to the point, guys are able to, to make it, to take advantage, but teams now are going to have to do the same, because it's just, you're going to have to invest wisely. Granted, the salary cap is going to go through the roof and teams will kick the can down the road, but
looking at you, Ryan Pace.
yeah. But it's just, those days have changed. The bell cow, 25, 30 yards, 30 carries a game. So, and it's, everyone's been saying it for years. It's just, you're definitely seeing it come to fruition now with the way the rosters are panning out with injuries and COVID, man.
Yeah, it's a mess. And, honestly, just kind of,
oh geez,
looking, what is this? Montgomery gone next year. Oh, that hurts.
To be a Patriot.
I mean, Logan chiming in here. Herbert is the future in Chicago. Just saying.
Well, President Pace, is he going to get a chance to do that?
I hope not.
Yeah, me neither.
I listened.
They had today to fire fucking Nagy, and they didn't. So
yeah. Well, I mean, technically, if they just inform him that he's gone at the end of the year, they can still start interviewing people. They don't need to fire him. They just need to inform him.
That's the loophole. Okay.
That's awkward. That's awkward. Why would you do that?
Can we do it? Let's call over there and just let them know. That way we fucking help them out.
Fuck. It's
Bob, what are you doing? Bob, what are you doing?
Khalil Herbert, not Justin Herbert. But yeah, it's a I tell you, I listened to Hub Arkish defend Ryan Pace on the radio last week and say that it wasn't his fault for the Mitchell Trubisky draft pick. It wasn't his fault that the Bears have found themselves in salary cap hell, because they're not going to be in salary cap hell this offseason, even though I think they still need to sign some 30 out of
40. They got 40 million, 41 million or something. Just under,
but they have one of the lower signed totals in the league. Exactly. And so, I mean, you got to put that in perspective, and talking about how it wasn't his fault that Kevin White didn't work out. And just like, it was just like making excuses for all this stuff. I'm like, I don't need to see this again. And yeah, you can sit here and argue that he's made really good picks.
He's had some great picks
in the later rounds. Yes. But the mismanagement of the cap, and it kills me to an extent. And yeah, Robert Quinn has worked out this year. Viggy is right here in the comments. He's earned his contract in 1 year. He's probably going to set the Bears record, the single sack season record. You get
without Mac on the other side,
back,
which is impressive.
Yeah, it's wild. It's just
goodbye,
one of
buddy.
those. Yep, there you saw it. But it's just it's to me, it's like, why do we need to see this again? Do we really get a third opportunity to hire a head coach?
Yeah.
And to me, that is just, it's wild to me. It's absolutely wild.
The Bears, though, and and they wouldn't surprise us if they pulled that off. I'd like to think that they're just going to, this isn't fantasy related, but they're going to replace everybody, Phillips, Pace, and Nagy, and start with the president, let him pick his team, and go from there. And so that's what we can hope, because if we're moving to Arlington Heights, we can't be doing that with this goddamn team, because granted, they're gonna make money regardless, but it'd be nice to have a product they could put out there and do well. But
absolutely. It's
fuck, but you're getting me depressed, man. I got COVID running through my fucking house. I got pending COVID tests there. I got sick kids, sick wife. Omicron is fucking everybody up over here, so it's fucking a lot of fun. And if I run out of here, it's probably because they're gonna shit my fucking pants, because everyone's got upsets, the bubble guts. Because fuck you, Shane, because you're probably gonna cut that I just said that. But it's been no fun the last couple of days over here. But to that point, it's fantasy season, week 17. Are there guys that we should be talking about picking up right now, because we got to get to it? There's some moves, guys got to make some decisions in the next hour and 45 minutes over here on the East Coast. Pickings are slim.
They are slim, but I think we've got plenty that we can break down here and dive.
Do you want to go starts and sits, or glitches and cheat code? You want to go waiver wire? Where do you want to go?
Let's start it off with some waiver wire pickups to get things rolling for week 17. Let's start off with let's go reverse. It's always fun to go reverse on these things. How about tight end? Who you got at tight end?
Well, it's funny you say that, speaking of bubble guts. No. So there's a few guys, and one of the guys that I've really liked since Waller got hurt, is Moreau. Rostered in 46% of the leagues. After 3 games in place of Waller, he's picked up his production the last 2 with at least 10 PPR points in each of the last games. Granted, it was against the Browns and the Broncos, but he's got a really favorable matchup against the Colts week 17. And they definitely have allowed 7 tight ends to score and at least 11 PPR points in their last 8 games. Definitely a worthy pickup with Waller out. So I'm going to say he is my guy to pick up on the tight end side of things. I'm curious what Bubble Guts, Logan. The Bubble Guts, the BGs. I don't know if that's something we set up here in the East Coast, but it's Bubble Guts. It's a lot of fun. It sucks. Ginger ale's my friend. But what about you on the tight end front?
Plop, plop, fizz, fizz.
You son of a bitch.
I'm going to go with a familiar foe that the Bears just had the honor of kind of getting beat up by. That's Gerald Everett with the Seattle Seahawks, who has been putting together some pretty decent games as of late. And really, if you want to look over the course, really since the bye week for the Seattle Seahawks, he has not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 top 10 finishes at the tight end position, including finishing as the tight end number 3 against Chicago this past Sunday. And now he gets the Detroit Lions, who don't necessarily pose the most formidable defensive tests. And the way that Russell Wilson has been able to get him involved in the game, I don't see any signs of that really slowing down here, especially the last couple weeks, where he's been able to kind of throw things together. He's got 3 touchdowns in his last 5 games and tie that in with some pretty decent target shares as well. I mean, even a couple weeks back, he was looking at 8 targets, 9 targets, 6 targets, had only 5 targets against the Bears. Felt like a hell of a lot more than that, but he's able to do quite a bit with the opportunities that he is given, and should have those opportunities again this week as well.
Yeah, so Detroit stinks, man. That with respects to tight ends, they've allowed at least, I think, 9 PPR points in the last 5 games, including 3 touchdowns. So that's a great pick, man. If you can pick him up and stream that for the championship, because one of your guys is out or gets COVID, damn, man, that's a good.
Go for it if you can,
man. Yeah.
Wide
receivers. Oh, this dude I fell in love with, man. This past weekend, Isaiah Mckenzie. Gabriel Davis goes down, Cole Beasley's out. Next thing you know, this guy stepped up, and the game was on where I was, and it was just he was all over the field. Him and Josh Allen looked amazing.
That they did.
He was the star. It looks like he's going to have a big role against Atlanta. Against the Patriots, he had 11 catches, 125, and a tutter on 12 targets. I'm seeing more of that, against Atlanta, and I see them, putting up some big numbers there. I like that pick. He's rostered in not many leagues right now.
1.2%.
I was going to say 0% at my look right here. So he's got a great matchup against Atlanta. I think he's my move on the wide receiver. I actually have a claim in for him in one league. Actually, the league I'm fighting for right now. So we'll see what happens. What about you?
Yeah, he's going to come out of nowhere. I think he only had like 13 targets all year prior to week 16. All of a sudden, it's like, boom. Give me the ball. I think
he had 6 catches all year, and I think at one point I remember saying he's had more catches in the first half than he's had all season. So, it was pretty wild.
It's insane, that's for sure. Another guy that has kind of flown under the radar in terms of the productivity the last couple weeks, and this is also thanks to some injuries as well, but has a very, very nice matchup against the Minnesota Vikings this Sunday, and that's Alan Lazard with the Green Bay Packers. Again, as we all know, the Vikings have been very, very bad against opposing wide receivers, and here you are with a guy where he set up the Bears pretty damn bad a couple weeks ago, and then against Cleveland was able to bring in a touchdown as well in that one. Not necessarily the yardage there, but if you want to try and get a guy who's got some scoring opportunity attached to him, look no further than the wide receiver 2 for the Green Bay Packers, who will more than likely be finding themselves in a shootout if Dalvin Cook's able to come back, and that's an all-hands-on-deck situation. Against the Vikings, although the one thing to keep in mind here, it might be freezing cold up in Green Bay for that game on Sunday, looking at below freezing temperatures, even maybe near 0. So something to keep an eye on. But that's never stopped the Packers passing attack from being an issue in the past. That team is just built different and has been built different for a very long time. Hence the nickname, the Frozen Tundra, which will irritate me until the day I die. But nevertheless, not a bad play this week as well. At running back, who we got?
Fuck, I think just really touching back wide receivers, KJ Osborne and Josh Palmer, 2 guys to keep an eye on. Osborne with Thielen being out, and then Palmer with Mike Williams being out. I think those are 2 guys that you definitely want to also keep an eye on. Running backs. I mean, you want to say the sexy pick of Cam Akers, right? And like, oh, he's back. But I think Boston Scott right now is the guy you got to have to pick up. I think with Miles Sanders out week 17, they're trying to get him back for, to get a chance if they can make the playoffs. He's done well in his chances, as we've talked about with guys stepping up. He has been one of these guys. Sanders has been ruled out, and Jordan Howard is dealing with the stinger. So if neither of those guys play, it's him against Washington. And, I think he's probably going to look at a pretty big day with him being out there. He's, like I said, performed when he's had the chance. Kenneth Gainwell, he's probably going to share some touches there. But I still think Boston, is the guy to put in, rostered in 37% of the leagues. He's a guy that you're going to want to just definitely try to grab, especially with COVID. You don't know what's going to happen. So you're trying to just stack up your bench, because come tomorrow, things could look much different. So, that's where I'm pretty much where I'm feeling it. And what about you?
So, Cam Akers, what you think he's going to do anything in these last couple games? No, he's just fodder, cannon fodder.
Jesus, I mean, it'd be great. It'd be a great story. It just makes me so nervous. I'd love to see him do something, but is that because Sonny has done well? I mean, he's looked good. I don't know why you'd want to bring Cam unless he looks amazing and he's healthy, because he looked fantastic at the end of last year. So he was winning people championships if we were having this conversation in 2020, 2020. So I don't know if they need bodies. Jake Funk as their backup isn't exactly great. So maybe you do see Cam in like a spot role, but I don't know. You buying that hype there?
I want to, but it feels very, very like last possible option on earth ish.
Okay.
For if you want to start him in this situation. Another guy, however, that I think may be a very sneaky play that isn't entirely being talked about, but should be being talked about, especially after he was able to plug in and get things rolling following the injury to James Robinson, and that's Dare. I'm going to butcher this last name.
Okay,
I'm going to try it. Ogunbowale. I think I got it. Dare Ogunbowale. Again, we had a pretty decent game, and it was against the New York Jets, and the New York Jets sucked defensively. But New England ain't really all that great against the run either, as we've seen in previous weeks here. And if you need to get a guy that has that volume attached to him, and Dare is a guy that has also performed out of the backfield as well in receiving situations. And so having that dual threat situation for the Jaguars, who, they found themselves in a hole early and often in a lot of games this year. You can't go wrong with volume, especially this late in the year for as rare as it's become at the running back position, and having to more or less swap guys out on a weekly basis with all of the various injuries and whatnot that have been going on. So as a plug and play option, as a low end, I'd probably put him in that flex fringe area. You could do a lot worse than that. Worse than that.
You're 100% right, though, Stephen. You're looking at these injuries that we have talked about this, today, last week, with Robinson now out, Miles Sanders out. You're trying to survive to win some money now, and you're putting strangers in. You got Dare going in, and Dare keep people off drugs, but Dare is a whole different animal, and he could do well for you, or he's a bust, and you're coming in second place winning your $250 prize or whatever it is instead of $750. I don't know how it breaks down for you guys, but it's laughable at times when you look at these lineups that you're putting out there. But I think he's a guy that actually is probably going to do well week 17. I like that. I like that pick. I like all your picks normally. I kind of just sound like a broken record. I kind of just, I co-sign where you're going here.
Fight me, damn it.
Fucking Trey Sermon. It was all your fault, But as we move up the ladder here, our quarterbacks.
Yes.
I'm going to steal Davis Mills because I think he's a guy going against, he's got a game against San Francisco. Pardon me. They, 22nd against quarterbacks this year, fantasy wise. He's making an extremely strong case to be their starter next year. We've gone down the list, but he has had at least 18 fantasy points over the last 3 games, including that 22-point game against the Chargers. So week 17, the Niners haven't been doing all that hot against the quarterbacks the last 4 games either, giving up at least 20 points a game. So I think with Davis Mills, Brandon Cooks coming back, I think COVID, and maybe a healthy David Johnson. Regardless, you got Rex Burkhead kind of helping you out. So I think Davis Mills is a guy that you may be happy to stream in your championship game if you're dealing with like a, Lamar Jackson or, really Lamar Jackson. I mean, there's no other really, I don't know where else you're going. Jimmy Garoppolo, if you started him, now you got to go with Trey Lance, but I don't want to steal your pick, so go ahead.
Trey Lance going up against Houston could easily pick the opposite side.
I thought you were going to.
I was tempted. I was very tempted, but I'm going to go with the bounce back option here this week. Didn't necessarily have the most magnificent of games against the one and only Buffalo Bills, and both games are kind of forgettable for this man. However, he gets the Jacksonville Jaguars this Sunday, and that is Mac Jones. And if he cannot put it together against, and this is funny, this is a guy that has bounced back and forth between good games and bad games. And if you want to play that superstition, this is the week for a good game where he has gone QB5, QB19, QB7, QB29, QB9, QB30. So looking at that, just the way that things have lined up, this could turn out to be a top 10 game yet again for Mac Jones. And if you're looking for that opportunity, I would look no further than this weekend and the Patriots rookie Signal Kala. So that is that's my guy there. So yeah, it's a I don't know. I hope that Mac Jones can put it together. I actually have to lean on him in a couple of consolation brackets for draft picks next year, so I'm not looking forward to it. So that also comes with some personal grudge built into it, I guess is the best way to put it. But nevertheless, can't go wrong with that matchup against the Jaguars this week.
I thought you were going to say Josh Johnson going against, I was like, are we really going to go down that road? I thought it was a different Josh Johnson when I first realized when they named the star. I was like, dude, there's another quarterback named Josh Johnson. That guy's got to be like almost 40. It's like my age, And then I'm like, I looked, he's 35. I'm like, oh my God, it's the same guy. I'm like, holy shit, But then same results. It's like, hey, it's Josh Johnson. It's the same fucking thing, But
What blows my mind is the fact that he's still in the league and he still gets these opportunities, just based on all the other quarterbacks that are out there. Like,
I mean, shoot, he threw for 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Against.
But he was also down 30 points in like a quarter.
That's the old stat Padford mantra, right? But oh my goodness. As I look at the clock, we're here an hour and we're talking, I'd like to say there's some starts, there's some sits that probably we may want to talk about. I didn't know if you wanted to do like a rapid fire, is there a guy you'd start, a guy you'd sit, and then we could just keep it moving. I know, I'm not trying to keep it too long. Plus my,
Oh, no.
I don't want to piss Dawn off any more than I probably already
just ask this one thing.
Yeah.
I just want to play the intro. Got to get hyped with the glitches.
I love it. There it is. I like you added some stuff in there. I like it. That was a good one.
Got to keep it rolling, but nevertheless, let's
not
do
only
some
the golden voice,
here.
but the golden fingers over there on the keyboards and mouse pad. Shane's going to cut only part of that, and now I'm fucked.
Oh,
so there we go.
In the back of Car's minivan. Just going off the rails, folks. Going off the rails. Yeah, let's head down the list here.
Yeah.
Let's go in the normal order this time.
You go first.
Looking at quarterback. Oh, I'm going first. Okay.
No, you let me go first last time, so
okay.
Just
Fair enough. I did. You hinted at him as my pick for the waiver wire, but I'm going to take him in this instance. I do like Trey Lance this week against the Houston Texans. I do think he will provide some solid low-end QB1 numbers as a floor with the opportunities that he has in place. It is a fully healthy offensive squadron that the Niners have finally put together, and he should be able to thrive under those conditions, given the fact that Jimmy G has looked more than competent with those same weapons. So I do like that, as well as his running ability as well, to really get things moving against the Houston Texans. As for the sit, a guy that I just have not been able to get on board with for a quite some time, and I still think this isn't going to necessarily work out in his favor yet again this week. I do think he will return after a couple game absence, and it's not a game that he necessarily wants to step into, and that's Lamar Jackson against the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are now in the driver's seat in that NFC West, the lone division that is yet to be decided in the NFC, and it is not necessarily what you want to see coming back from an ankle injury nonetheless. Going up against Aaron Donald and the rest of that Rams pass rush that has started to become reinvigorated as the season comes to an end here. So I do not like Lamar Jackson in that role. He's really not been that great since the bye week either for the Ravens as well. So not a good spot to come back in for him. How about you?
First off, yeah, Lamar killed one of my teams, just absolutely destroyed me. but no, my start this week is Joe Burrow against KC. After that huge game, 525 yards, 4 touchdowns. Threw the ball almost 50 times. He actually had 5 touchdowns. One of them was called back due to a penalty. But hey, that never actually happened.
No bitterness there.
He is one of he is one of 6 quarterbacks in the NFL this year that has 2 top 12 wide receivers in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Week 17 against the Chiefs is probably one of the best contests for quarterbacks. I think, just looking at the way the Chiefs defense, they have been playing well, but they're 27th against quarterbacks. But they are ranked 15th over the last 4 games, about almost 16, just over 15 points a game. But I think Burrow is a quarterback one this week. I just think the talent all around with Mixon on, he's clicking. He was a little injured, but he definitely came back, had a great game, couple touchdowns last week. I think with all that being said, I think Joe Burrow's a must start. I'm taking an easy way out here. I'm just going to say, if you even think about starting Matt Ryan this week against Buffalo, you should not do fantasy football anymore. He threw for over 4,000 4,000 from 2011 to 2020. It's, when like we talked about with Calvin Ridley and all the other nonsense going on in Atlanta, I just stay away from him, and we already talked about my starter at running back, and that was going to be Rashad Penny. So I'm going to let you pick Rashard against Detroit, but I'm going to let you go ahead and give your start for running backs. Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
There's a couple names that I really like this week. There really isn't a terrible matchup that sticks out. If I wanted to take the easy way out, it'd be to not start Chuba Hubbard. Again, going up against New Orleans. Carolina has looked god awful, as we all know. But if you're looking for a guy that has been putting up more stud type numbers, that might not necessarily be reliable this week, from a running back perspective, I would say look no further. I hate saying this because I know it's going to come back to bite me in the ass. I don't think Saquon Barkley has a good week against the Bears. I really don't. Coming into Soldier Field, he has not looked like himself. We talked about him earlier in the show about being a dud for where he was drafted. And again, it's just not the same Saquon that we saw drafted. Was he just 2 overall? Was that who he was? Is that where he was drafted? I want to say that's where he was. But again, this is a running back who has only put up 1 finish inside the top 5 all year.
That's crazy.
And that's in week 4 against the New Orleans Saints. His top 3 performances, he finished RB3 in week 4, RB10 in week 3, and then RB11 in week 14 against the LA Chargers. That's the best he's done. I don't think it's going to be all that great, despite the fact that Rashad Penny looked very good against the Bears. I think that was also element driven, and I think that run defense will bounce back with a good game against Saquon Barkley on Sunday.
Okay. All right. I could see that. Logan disagrees. I think Logan likes our chances.
See, and this is the thing.
Sarcastic.
I want to, let's bring this back up because people have short-term memory. Remember what happened Sunday night against Dalvin Cook. The Bears can stop the run.
Yeah, true.
So that's not necessarily the case. Yeah, the Sandman's in.
Hey.
Welcome on in.
Hello, sir. No, but I think, I'm going to circle back, give you, stay away from Devonta Freeman against the Rams. Speaking of the Rams, I think he had a tough week 16, 6 carries, 17 yards. He did have a 2-yard touchdown. Nonetheless, It's his second contest in a row at 25 yards. I mean, it's like there was hope. He might have got some of you guys into the playoffs. He's not going to win you the championship. I would definitely stay away from that. I think Latavius Murray is definitely cutting into some carries there. And then if you do get Lamar back, that's even more of less of an opportunity for him to run the ball. So I would stay away there, in my opinion. To that point, I think we're talking about wide receivers, Mr. Johnson. And who do you have as your start, sir?
That we are a guy that has kind of been a bit of a letdown the last couple of weeks, which is depressing. Given what he was able to do over the course of the midseason, that's Michael Pittman Jr. going against the Las Vegas Raiders. Do like him to be more or less a security blanket for Sam Ellinger in this game coming up here. Might be a little bit of a risky move overall, given the fact he is going up against against the Raiders with a backup quarterback. Doesn't necessarily translate to what you want to see. I'm gonna check this too, because Sam Ellinger, how many games did he start earlier this year? Did he start any? Maybe he didn't.
Wentz played with 4 sprained ankles, so I'm not sure if he.
Trying to remember. I can't even remember who played for the Colts earlier.
I think he did start one. I think Wentz missed one game. I mean, I know when he sprained his third ankle or whatever, it was, the fucking guy couldn't even walk and he was playing. But yeah,
I'm sorry. Oh no, Wentz did play in all the games. I apologize.
That's crazy to think the guy had 7 sprained ankles and he played every game. 14 sprained ankles and he played every game.
That's a record.
Yeah.
I do think he bounces back here. Yeah, he did have a good game against Arizona, so let's not discount that as well. He did have 8 catches for 82 yards, but hasn't scored since week 9, and I have a feeling this will be the game that he gets back in to that scoring column in the passing game that the Colts have put together here. As for a sit, I'm actually going to go on the opposite side of the matchup. And for the Colts, they have been very good at stopping the shifty type wide receivers over the course of the year. Hunter Renfrow, do not like him whatsoever in this game. And, just trying to, get things moving and rolling around. I do believe that they will clamp down on Hunter Renfrow to keep that Raiders passing game from moving at a pretty decent clip, for him being more or less the focal point over the last month or so here for the Raiders. So those are my 2 picks there.
All right. Not bad, Mr. Johnson. You did take a couple of my guys throughout our show here tonight where, I'm a big fan this week of Amon-Ra St. Brown against Seattle for the Detroit Lions. All he has done since he's gotten an opportunity over the last 4 weeks is just put up numbers: 24.8, 15.3, 23.5, 26 points. I mean, he's got a good matchup here against Seattle. Obviously the Bears pulled off a victory scoring over 20 something points. So there's struggles on that side of the ball, if you will. So I think you're going to see some things, pardon me, fucking Omicron getting me here. No, but with St. Brown, I like that play. I just think regardless of who's at quarterback, he has just stepped up and done well. He had 11 targets, 12 targets for a total of 42 targets in 4 games. I mean, that's fucking awesome. And he caught almost 37 balls out of those 42 targets. He's a guy I'm looking to play. And then on the sitting side, Chase Claypool, Big Ben, with the bum arm or whatever, just a bum team. Even in a blowout, he only had 41 yards.
That was bad.
That flea flicker, I was like, holy shit, that looks like me, backyard football. Actually, it's just horrible, but yeah. Claypool has been awful. He had some good games, week 11, 12, and 14, where he had 80 yards plus, which gives you those double-digit points. But outside of that, he's been shitty, where he's had less than 50 yards or fewer than 8 fantasy points. There's no in between. So I'm staying away from Chase Claypool against Cleveland. You think he'd do well there with the matchup rivalry and the whole nine, but in my opinion, that is a no-go. So there I am,
Yeah, Sam will bring this up. Miami defense last night just like ruined everything. Really, the last two games of the week just ruined everything. Dallas defense, all that. I did see one comment here. I think this is a quick and easy answer. Boston Scott or Stephon Diggs? Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I mean, you think
against
so,
Atlanta?
right?
Against Atlanta? Like, yeah.
But if they get up big, are they gonna?
It's Stephon Diggs. Start your studs. Oh, okay. Don't do this. Should I bench Kamara for Boston Scott?
No. You start Kamara. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, he had a bad week last week, but I just, Ian Book week, but I don't know.
Yeah, can't do that. Can't do that.
Yeah, I agree with saying like Claypool can't get out of his own way, man. But to that point, I just, ever since he blamed the fucking lineman or whatever for that stupid shit when you just,
dancing and you got no timeouts.
Whatever. And we've talked about every single tight end in the fantasy football realm all year because fantasy tight ends have just been
suck.
Yes, but is there anyone you're looking to start this week?
Oh,
yes, Bob,
my goodness.
Definitely sell your house, capitalize on the market before it flops, and live in your car. Just kidding, Bob.
Live in an RV. They're nicer than most houses.
Get one of those micro houses that you just attach to the back of your car.
You just put it on a trailer, roll it around. It's all good.
So who do you got at tight end?
Oh man, I don't want to say this name. I really don't, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Noah Fant, Denver Broncos.
Oh my God, you love the Noah.
The Chargers continue to be bad against tight ends. It just is. It's a nonstop rotation, and yeah, you can argue that Albert O has been getting some run as well in that offense. But what Noah Fant has been able to do is provide some consistency, and it's been a solid situation for him as of late, where Noah Fant, get this, in games that he's played, has not finished outside of the top 10. Or excuse me, I'm looking at the points. I'm not looking at the tight end finish. Disregard that. Wow, that would have been terrible advice. With that being said, though, he has not finished with less than, I think, four targets since week 3. So he's getting some targets in this. The yardage isn't the most eye-popping, but I think this opportunity here, he's got a chance to put something together with the Chargers. There really isn't a lot of like edge tight end players I like this week. It's all like meh. Like I don't even want to think about starting anybody.
I got one.
Okay, who you got?
Zach Ertz. The Zach Ertz game over in Arizona since Hopkins been out. Week 16, he had 8 catches on 13 targets, 54 yards. He's now seen 7 or more targets in 4 out of his last 5 games. Kind of just coincides with Hopkins being out. And he led Arizona in routes ran last week. And I think that just speaks to a nice matchup and possibly a nice, granted it's Dallas's defense and they're solid, but Diggs won't be guarding him. So I don't think you have to worry about any interceptions there. Then again, Kyler Murray has been pretty all over the map the last couple of weeks. We've talked about that too, but I like Ertz this week. I just think he's I like Bob said, my ball Zach Ertz, I just think that Zach's the play there. And then I'm staying away from Austin Hooper against the Steelers. I just don't like anyone with Cleveland. I think it's a franchise they had such high hopes for. They were like a Super Bowl favorite at the beginning of the year. Remember that? And, there were people that actually thought they were going to be fighting for top seed right about now. And with that being said, they're not doing anything except meeting Chicago on the first tee down in the Bahamas in about 3 weeks. So, what do you got?
Yeah, no, I think did I give my sit? I don't think I did.
I think I skipped right over it. I apologize.
That's okay. You're good. Mike Gesicki. Don't like him. Waddle's healthy. Avoid Mike Gesicki. Plain and simple. You saw it last night where he just doesn't get the targets when Jalen Waddle is on the field. Plain and simple. Just does not happen. Dawson Knox this week.
The Knox, man.
If you got him, you start him.
Yeah.
He's going up against the Falcons. You got to start him if you got him.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. I think he has a top 5 week.
That's a good call. So I think someone was saying he's been kind of had a roller coaster up and down, but
yes.
I mean he's a tight end TE5 this week, like you said, Atlanta. He's got a great matchup. I mean he had 3 targets last week for 11 yards and a touchdown, but to that point, I don't know. What do you
a touchdown is a touchdown. I mean, how many touchdowns? He's got a lot of touchdowns this year. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9 total.
He's
production wise in a PPR league though, in the last 4 weeks, he's been 3.4, 19 points, 7.8, 9.1. So 2 weeks before that, Salen's right, 14 points, 18.2, up and down. But when he hits big, two touchdown games. If he's not getting 2 touchdowns, he's getting 50, 60 yards. It's the Knox roller coaster, I guess. Put that out in Disney for a new ride next year. But to that point, it's fucking week 17, man, and you need to make some moves in the next hour and 15 minutes if you live out by me, because there are guys to get to make some money. Let's roll. What do you say?
Yeah, it's after one of the most wild seasons I think ever. It's just crazy to see it all, come down to this, and to be, ready to, hit the ground running with putting together some championship lineups, hopefully coming away with the title, coming away with some cash, your dignity intact. I know we're playing for that in our toilet bowl competitions here this weekend as well, but that carries a whole different definition when it's all said and done. You come away losers in that one, man.
It fucking stings all fucking season, all off season. And then you get constantly reminded as you show up for draft, as the texts come around for drafts and like, hey, what are we thinking about the draft? Oh, hey, fuckface. Remember when you came in last place last year? Yeah, it's always nice, Yeah, that's what our friends for. That's what friends are for. Yeah.
Nevertheless, it's Logan saying try the worst season ever. Hey, I hope that it wasn't that terrible for everybody, but
Logan did have a shit season.
He did.
In our conference. I felt bad. I mean, well, he tried to hog all the running backs. They just all got hurt. It's just fantasy gods telling you how to run your roster and being like, all right, you can't play boss hog with all the running backs.
It can always be a Cubs fan. There's always next year. That's the way you got to look at it. Yep, exactly. But hey, good luck to each and every one of you. If you're
we got a quick one right here. Let's help Ryan out. He asked earlier.
Javonte
I'm going Kittle.
Williams or Boston Scott, Kittle or Ertz. Kittle.
Boston Scott is boom or bust, right? Like if Howard plays, I don't think Boston is as big of a play. But if you're looking for you're that projection is you're not looking to do well and you're kind of on the look, you may want to play Boston Scott, because I think you may get that bigger chance of hitting with him if what's his face is out, because they do want to run the ball, in Philly, but Javonte Williams with Melvin Gordon, they're still splitting. We didn't think that was going to happen this late in the season, but
it has been getting more healthy in Williams' favor.
But
I just don't. I mean, if there's a week to kind of bust out, it's probably against the Chargers, who aren't that great against the run. But yeah, to your point, with Scott, and especially if Jordan Howard can't go, that's a smash spot where you just got to go for it and start him.
You're hoping for big things, and I know, San Diego has an awful run defense, but do you expect Gordon and Javonte to eat? And you're right. If it is in favor, if the scales have tipped in Williams' favor, again, it's what do you need going into, obviously you need to maximize your points, and who gives you that chance? You're going to roll the dice. You're going to be lucky, or, it's tough. It's week 17, money to be made, or just pride, however you're playing. If you're in free leagues, or if you're in, I don't know, playing for sandwiches, hope you eat well, coming next week, because, money will be paid out, and it's going to be a good feeling if you're the one receiving it. So I wish everybody well, week 17. I also just wanted to, my thoughts and prayers to Parker, Jeff Dickinson's son, with everything going on there. That is just a catastrophic thing to just read about, and it just sad. And, thoughts and prayers to the family over there, especially with John Madden as well. It's been a sad day, like we talked about. But as I just brought this show to a screeching halt by getting depressive, I'm going to hand it over to the golden voice, Mr. Johnson, as we wrap up this week 17. And so so Bob has a question. Will we be back next week? What are your thoughts?
I keep looking at okay, so all right. So please tell me you guys will do at least one more show next week, talk keeper league stuff, real ideas. Yeah, we'll be here throughout the offseason. We'll be talking keepers, we'll be talking dynasty, we'll be talking everything when it comes to the fantasy impacts of free agency, the draft, and everything in between. So yeah, no worries whatsoever about watching us disappear into the sunset or anything like that. So no concerns there, folks. We'll be back. We'll be here and chiming in, and maybe we can teach Phil how to play fantasy football this offseason. Set that as maybe our goal for the offseason. I don't think I don't know how attainable that is, but hey, we can try at least, right?
Yes. You are right. You are correct, sir.
But nevertheless, again, good luck this weekend as things kick off in week 17. If you play week 18, just start complaining to your commission now that it is the wrong thing to do, because no one should ever play in fantasy leagues the last week of the season. Just enjoy some football for once with no strings attached. Yeah. Always fun to do. But nevertheless, we will talk to you next week. Have a wonderful week. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you in 2022 next time we see you. Yeah, it's weird. That just crossed my mind. I'm like, oh, shit. So we got that to look forward to and everything else. But nevertheless, have a fantastic rest of your week. Good luck, and we'll see you next week.
Take care, everybody.